Over the last 8 years, I have personally been responsible for growing and scaling hundreds of brands on email marketing specifically, and more specifically using Klaviyo. So I'm going to show you in this entire video from A to Z exactly how to set up Klaviyo specifically to make sure that you're actually landing in the inbox, because so many brands get this incorrect, and exactly how to navigate the platform, as well as from start to finish, how to set up the basics of campaigns and flows. I have another video that is way more in depth, but for someone's just starting out and getting used to the platform, this is going to be your go-to guide. You also don't have to refer to any other videos. This is going to be a no fluff video. So let me jump straight into the back end. All right, so we are in the back end of a dummy account that I have created for the purpose of this video. And I'm going to run through a bunch of the menu items super quickly, but I want to get to the real meat of the video on the basics of building a campaign, where you're going to navigate to, basics of building a flow and what a flow is, building a sign-up form, creating some segments, all of that I'm going to cover in this video. Now, to start off with, when you open up the back end of Klaviyo, you're going to be landing up on the home page. This is going to be your key snapshot area of your total revenue and attributed revenue. So you can see what the percentage is sitting at, and also where each thing is performing. So you can see your top performing flows and your top performing campaigns. Now, what I recommend you do is click on this little thing saying get started. If you've just created your account, make sure you go through all of this and you set up correctly. And what's going to happen is it is automatically going to tell you what the most important steps are. So for example, connecting your Shopify. It's going to be super easy. It's going to automatically integrate and set up for you. So you'll just click on set up and it'll automatically do everything for you and show you a step by step. Now, one of the most important things that most people get confused with is adding a branded sending domain to Klaviyo. This is super important. And what you're going to do is you can either click on here, or let's just say that you don't know how to navigate this correctly. Go to your settings. And to do that, you're going to click on the little name at the bottom left. You're going to click on settings, and then you're going to land up here. Now, what you want to do is you want to click on domains. So under account, domains, and what you're going to do is you're going to see this. Now, what you want to do is you want to say add domain. And mine's kind of already done, but you're going to go ahead and add your root domain. And the root domain is basically your domain that you own that is going to be attached to this account. And make sure it's the same one that is your website. So for example, for the Little Herb, it is also our actual domain, littleherb.com, and we have it owned on GoDaddy. So make sure whatever account or whatever website you're sending traffic to, you have the matching domain on Klaviyo. So I've just typed that in. We're going to say next. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to set up a static routing type, and we're just going to say send. All right. So that's essentially what it will look like. It's just going to be send.littleherb.com, right? And what you're going to do is you are going to say next. You have this now set up. I'm saying that I am with GoDaddy. And then what you're going to do is you're going to copy paste all of these settings. Now, we've already done this off camera just to make it a little bit faster, but you can see all of those settings are over here. So these are all the ones that were set up by Klaviyo itself, and we have those all set up. So obviously what we'll go ahead and do is click on verify, and we'll finish. So that is currently verifying, and what is going to happen is it's going to give us another confirmation. So just refresh back in like an hour's time, 30 minutes time. And what it's going to do is confirm verification. And you're going to say, yes, confirm verification, and you're done. Super easy. It's not complicated. Don't worry about that. Now, something important that I recommend you do as well in the setup of your account is going to attribution. This is going to be your attribution window. And you'll see that what happens is Klaviyo automatically sets an attribution window of 5 days. I highly recommend changing this to 2 or 3. Now, I'm going to change it to 3 because on average, it does take people a few days to open up their email, especially over the weekend. What this means is this is the period of time that email and Klaviyo is going to take attribution of revenue. So let's say that you send an email on Monday and you have a 5-day attribution window. Basically what it's saying is, let's just say someone opens up your email on Monday, they don't take action, and then they place an order on Friday because they see an ad. They're actually going to attribute that revenue to email. So you're going to see a lot of double attribution. We don't want that. We want true data. We don't want our email revenue to look better than it is. And so we want to change this. So click on save. You're good to go. Then what we're going to do is we're going to navigate back here. And I'm going to explain the most important things. So most important thing is a campaign. Campaign, for clarity, is, of course, if you're a beginner, I'm just going to explain this super briefly. A campaign is basically the weekly email that you manually output, which means that let's just say you're doing a product launch or a sale. This is essentially where you're going to go ahead and create your campaigns, right? We design a lot of our campaigns in Figma, and I'll link you to another video where we kind of explain this, but essentially we'll upload images. But let me show you how to build a campaign from scratch. You'll click on the top right there, you're going to say create campaign, we're going to name this test YouTube, and we're going to make this single channel. We're not going to make an SMS follow-up or anything like that. We're going to make it single channel, and this is going to be for today. We're going to click on continue. Then what's going to happen is we're going to get this screen. We're going to choose the list that we want to send to. So let's just say to our regular email list, and we want to turn off smart sending. Smart sending explains itself here. It's basically not going to send to anyone who's gotten an email in the last 16 days. All right. And you can add exclusions. So let's just say that we don't want to send to anyone that is on our SMS or a win-back opportunity. We want to send them a different kind of campaign. So then we're going to say next, right? And here is where the magic actually happens. We can either choose templates that we create, which I'll show you later on, or we can just create one from scratch. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you how to create 2 types of emails, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to name this, I hate how's your sleep been? All right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then what we're going to do is not be resting as you thought. All right, so this is just like a premise of a campaign that we'd be doing, right? And what we're going to do here is we're going to create one from scratch. So you just click on create. You can also choose from the template library, but I wouldn't recommend that. I do recommend that you go and create your own assets. It is a little bit easier. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this blank template, right? And you can go fill in a bunch of stuff. What we're going to do is remove everything. Make sure that you keep a footer in every single email. Otherwise, you're not actually going to be verified for sending. Basically, it's going to be really bad practice. You're going to land in spam. So what we would ideally do is whenever we set up an email, there's a formula we want to follow. We always want our logo and our image on the same thing. And in this image, essentially what we're going to do, this is going to be our hero visual, right? And so let's just take an example. We created hero visuals. So I'll just show you some of ours, right? So let's just say that, let's go down and let's find an image in our library. And you can do the same process, right? All right, so for example, here's a main image that I found, and this is one of the ones that we've created before. So this is a hero image, and it works because we've got a headline, we've got subtext, we've got the image, and then we have a call to action, all in the same thing. Now, again, we designed this in Figma, but let's just say that you don't really have all of those elements. Then what you can do is you can just use the drag and drop feature, and you can add images, or in our case, now we've added an image and we want to add some text. Here, you're just going to write whatever you want. So, this is test content, and we can pretend that this is going to be our headline. So if you want, you can just go ahead and you can change all of the settings over here at the top. So let's just do that, and let's make this like that. Cool. And we want to center it, so we're going to do that. So pretty simple navigation here. And let's just say that we want to add a button over here. And we're going to say shop now. And we're just going to manually add in .com. Cool. All right, perfect. And obviously you can navigate, you can do whatever. Now, one thing I recommend is understanding the universal elements feature. So let's just say that you have the shop now button and it's always going to link to the best sellers, for example. You can actually click on this and you can save it. So let's example. All right. And what's going to happen is now in every single email. So let's just go ahead and just change the color of this to our branded colors. So let's just do that. Cool. And so now what's going to happen is we can scroll and we can just save this element, right? So we're going to click here. So we're going to click on publish. We're going to save and publish. And essentially, now this is going to apply to every email if we wanted to. So we can click on universal. So if we go and create a new template, we can just then drag and drop this onto those new templates, right? So you can see we have a bunch of different things. We have our bestseller section. So now we can go and drag and drop this, which are our bestsellers. So we can just go drag and drop this. And if you want to do the same thing, you can add a product drop down and you can actually pull from the website. And so let's just say that we just want to pull one product. We can go ahead and do that, and we can obviously change the way that it displays. So we can do it like that instead. So super easy navigation. Now you know how to essentially build an email. But now let's just say that we don't want this. Like we want to do a plain text email. then there is a different setup. So I click on change template at the top right there. And now what's going to happen is it's going to go back to the screen that showed up when you first clicked on creating an email, right? And this time it's going to be a little bit different. So you're going to click on the same place that you did. So instead of clicking directly on create, we're going to say 3 dots and we're going to switch to text only. And it's going to start to populate. And then it's going to show up like this. And what I recommend is you type in your text, you do whatever you want, you make it 18 or 16, whatever you prefer. And then what we like to do is we do like to change the font, right? So over here, just to make it look more natural. And we usually do from the founder emails, and this is how exactly you do that. So super simple. You can build out your emails with a drag and drop, or you can do a plain text. So that is literally all there is to creating a campaign. Super simple. And then you can obviously schedule it out. You can send whatever you want to do. Then we get to the flows. Flows are super important, and the way that I can best describe a flow in the simplest way possible is that a flow is an automated set of emails that gets triggered based on a specific behavior. So let's just say that someone goes to your website, they add to their cart, and then they leave the website. You can trigger a sequence of emails that goes out to them based on that action. And so the best way to do that, go to the flow section, you can create a flow, and you're going to see a bunch of different templates. Now, I recommend that you set up a welcome, a cart, a checkout, and a browser bannerman to begin. So when you're just starting out, those are the core 4 that you need. You don't need much more than that when you're just starting out. So let's click on the welcome series and you'll see that a template pops up, right? And we can just say that we want, so let's go to welcome, if we type that, and we can just do a standard welcome series, and you can see it's going to populate everything for us. And we want it to be that when anyone joins this specific list. Cool. So we're going to use that template. And so now we have that set up. Super simple. We can just go and edit whatever is over here, right? You can choose your templates. You can design this however. I have other videos on this specifically. So that's all you want to do. And you want to do the same thing for the cart abandonment, checkout abandonment, and browser abandonment. You're just going to choose their templates and you're going to build them out. Now, when you go to a website, what you're going to see is sign-up forms. Click on here and you want to set up your sign-up forms. Super easy, simple to create. You're going to come navigate to the sign-up forms, and then because you're integrated, it's going to automatically show in most cases on your website. So click on here, you're going to say create form, and the first thing that we want to create is we want to create a pop-up form. Now you can again just click on some of their templates. So personally, I really like their templates. So let's go with this one. This one is the one that we're going to choose as our example, and we want to make sure it's linked to the correct list. This is something super important to note. And we're going to name this, let's just name this test form and SMS list. So you can decide whether you want to collect just emails or SMSs or both. And we're going to do both for this sake of the tutorial. And so what we're doing is we want to add a teaser first so that, you know, if ever they close the form, this can show. Cool. So they're going to get $20 off. And all we would need to do is we just need to replace the images, right? So we can go find some of our images. Let's just say that we've just done an email for Groons. So we're just going to add in, you know, one of their emails. Or we can go find one of our own. So let's go see what we have. So yeah, you can navigate. You could obviously find out what you want to add specifically. But I recommend adding in a few different elements, figuring out what you want to add to the email, and then going from there. So we have a bunch, but none that really fits. So I recommend just choosing one that fits and then changing the colors of all of these. So to change this, we would just change it to our branding colors, which is maybe this color. And then this one will change a little bit as well. So let's make this one a lighter one. Cool. And so we'll just go change all the branding for this. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure you can see how it looks on desktop versus mobile. It's going to be very, very important because so many of your customers come from mobile. So you do want to make sure it's optimized. So just going to change that. And this one we're going to change as well. Cool. So we would change this around, obviously, but just for the sake of the branding and everything, you can go ahead and do that. You can change up the style. So the background color we find over here. And let's just say that we make this white instead. Cool. So this is essentially what's going to pop up on our, on our website when people come to the website. And then what you want to do is you want to get their email first, then their SMS, and then you're going to have the success page. Now, on the success page, I recommend adding the coupon code here directly. You don't want to make them go to different areas. So many email marketers say that you should. I just disagree. You don't want to force them into your inbox because so few people open it. If you think about it, 30% to 40% of people generally open an email. And so if you're optimizing for opening emails, you only get 40% of those customers instead of the 100% that are going to see this exit page. So just a food for thought there. And so let's just say that our code is a 15% off, or in this case, it was 25, I believe. So we're just going to change it to 25. And now what they can do is when they are at this page, the success page, they can just copy this and then exit out, which is way easier. All right. So super simple. There's not much else to it. Super simple to set up this form, and you do want to make sure you have one of those, and then you can just click on publish and you are good to go. Cool. So now that that's set up, we can navigate the rest of the website. Now, with your ESP, the next most important thing that you can do is your segments and your lists. Now, segments and lists are different. A list is basically a static list of people that you manually have to add or upload. So let's just say that you're migrating from MailChimp. You're going to export that list. You're going to import the list. The list never changes. Always the same amount of people. You export 5,000 people from MailChimp. You import those 5,000 people. It will forever be the same list of people. Whereas a segment is based on specific actions, which is incredible because now you can be targeted. So let's say over here, we have a list of people that we've uploaded, right? This is a list of people that we've uploaded historically, and we specifically just want to add into here manually every single time. So this is a list of people that we actually have ownership of, but now within this list, we want to understand how many people have added to their cart. So we can go to the right there, create a segment, and what we're going to do is cart abandonment, all right? And we can base it on an action. So for example, what someone has done or hasn't done. And here we want to say, added to cart, right? At least once over all time. And what it's going to do is it's going to populate 33 people that in history have added to their cart and have never placed an order or whatever it is. But this is always going to change. Let's just say that 500 people in the next 10 days add to their cart. This is then going to automatically populate those people without you needing to manually make any changes, which is great because, again, as you send campaigns, you want to send to the right people. You don't want to constantly add some tasks to your list of adding people to a specific list. So this is really handy to set up, and you can get really creative. Some lists that we send to is people that are engaged. So 120-day engaged is a great one. People that have abandoned cart, people that have purchased at least once over all time, but never added to cart, for example, have not added to cart in the last 30 days. So we have a bunch of those that we send. Then content is great. This is where you can go in and set up coupons. You can go ahead and build universal elements, and you can also build out templates that you can then use in your campaigns to automate a lot of the process. Then my favorite section is the analytics. Analytics is great because it's going to give you a snapshot that is way more in depth about how your emails are actually performing. So over here, you can actually go choose a period, for example, the last 12 months. And you can see we had an order in June, for example. And this specifically came from the flows. So from our flows, we know that the welcome flow enabled a huge portion of the purchase. So we can scroll down and we can actually choose this. Now, if you want to see specific data, you can actually add a card, and you can either create from scratch or you can choose their specific pre-builds. So you can see, okay, I want to see a segment growth. I want to see how our subscriber growth has changed over the period. And this is really helpful data to keep track of. Also in this is deliverability. Deliverability is going to be very, very important because it is going to tell you exactly how things are performing and whether you're landing in the inbox or not. And what I recommend for deliverability is don't overcomplicate it in the beginning. You want to warm up your domain if you've never used Klaviyo. And the best way to do that is get multiple of your own emails, get your friends, get your family and everything to subscribe, and make sure that they're opening some emails. Just send some plain text emails for now to that small segment of people to warm up your domain. That is going to be the easiest way to warm up your domain. Make sure that you are seen as, a real person. And something else that you can do that's a great trick is if you have a list already, send them a plain text email and say, hey, just wanted to reach out. We're moving processes. Let me know if you're getting this email. Reply to it. And so you're not telling them anything, and you'll find that you get so many responses. It's insane. Now suddenly your deliverability is so strong. So that's basically it. That's how you navigate. And then obviously there comes a point where you want to incorporate SMS, and that will be a whole separate video.